This is Christy with Spirit Oracle. That's brightspiritrising.com. And today I'd like to talk about a spirit animal, a totem that is both really popular and unpopular. It is owl. And this is a very interesting animal because it's just got a lot of emotion tied up in it. And I find that that is a very common thing in the totems that are really connected with deep feminine energy. A lot of times there's a lot of emotional stuff that comes up around there. So we'll be talking about some of that. So let's first talk about owls in general. There are about 200, give or take, owl species on the world. They are found on every continent except Antarctica. And they range in size from a really little tiny like elf owl, just a few inches tall, to like the great horned owl, which is, several feet in wingspan. So there's a lot of variation in owls, and they are a fascinating bird. Just some very unique things about owls. One of which is their vision. Now, owls are mostly nocturnal. There are a few diurnal owls, but mostly they're nocturnal. And so they do have very good night vision and very sharp vision as well. Some owls can actually detect a prey animal like a vole from up to a half a mile away, even when in dusk conditions. So that's pretty good eyesight. And the reason that their eyesight is so sharp is because they have a really unusual eye structure. Their eyes are tubular rather than spherical, and that really allows them to really focus in, but it does come with a couple of limitations. And one is that they can't turn their eyes in their head like we can. Their eyes are fixed straight ahead. So if you see owls kind of like moving their heads around, that's why, because they have to actually move their entire head in order to shift where they're looking at. To make up for this, they can actually turn their heads as much as 270 degrees. Now there's some people believe they can turn it all the way around, not quite, but pretty close. So there's a lot of neck flexibility there. And to me, I look at that and there's I'm seeing a big connection between the third eye and the throat chakra in this animal. And where owl is involved, these two chakras can be really intimately connected. And what that means is the third eye is really all about intuition, vision and intuition. And the throat is about self-expression and creative, power, but often about speaking the truth. And that gives, when you are working with owl totem at its best, it's going to be speaking to intuitive awareness, the ability to not only see different perspectives, but the compulsion to reveal the truth about them. And this is, going back to owl as this deep feminine kind of totem, because, it is associated with nightfall. It's associated with that, kind of the secrets, the deep, going into the deep dark. And when you're combining it with intuitive vision and speaking the truth, well, this is old woman wisdom, okay? This is, old women are not afraid to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. There comes a time in a woman's life where, she just lets go of all the pretense and just says it like it is. And, it's old women who will mention the elephant in the room. And this actually can make them unpopular. This is why, just the whole historical thing about witchcraft and so forth and so on. A lot of it is this kind of fear, because it's like, when you're really intuitive, there are no secrets. Because when the deep intuition is really tapped into, you can just intuit any secrets. And that can be really scary because we all have secrets, and a lot of us have secrets that we really don't want revealed. And so when anything comes up that could potentially see into, those dark recesses that we don't want to be seen into, it really brings up all the fear. So there's kind of where some of this comes up. Now, owl in a lot of cultures, owl's interesting because some totem animals will have a very similar meaning cross-culturally, like lion is going to be almost universally courage. It's associated with the sun, nobility, that kind of thing. Owl is not like that. Different cultures have very different beliefs around owl. In our Western culture, we've got this stereotype of the wise old owl. So wisdom is a big characteristic of owl in the West. But it's not true of all cultures. In Finland, which technically is West, but it's a little bit different, the owl is... I understand that the owl there really has more of an association with the fool. In many, many cultures, including many Native American cultures, the owl is associated with death and, bad dreams, bad omens. It's a sign of bad luck. So there's just a whole range of, what's going on in there. And I actually find that some of these deep feminine totems, like snake is another one, spider, big one, will have these very... some positive, some negative, okay, just a real mix. And that's just very common. I think it's just because that feminine energy is very powerful, and it does have its shadow side. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. Okay, so let's go back to the owl's vision. The other thing about these tubular eyes that owls have is that it doesn't give them a big range of focus. They're farsighted. They can't see things real closely up. So owl vision is more about the big picture, about taking all things into consideration, the holistic viewpoint. Again, very feminine kind of energy there. So if we're looking at details in vision, I'd say, balance owl out with another power animal. And for that, I really recommend mouse, because this is one of the major food sources for owl. And a lot of times when we need balance, we're working with a particular totem energy, a great place to look is for the predator-prey relationships. So mouse is a master at details. I will be doing another video about mouse, sometime soon. And I'd really encourage you, if you're working with owl, to also kind of explore what mouse has to offer. So looking at the owl's vision, very holistic, far-sighted, looking at kind of goals further ahead, or the whole picture. What's going on, not just this little piece and this little piece and this little piece, but how do they all connect together? What owl teaches. But they do pick up on the details in another way. So owls are known for their vision, but most people don't know that they also have a really incredible sense of hearing. And that's, believe it or not, it's related to their flat face too. An owl has this very distinctive face for a bird, typically very flat. The eyes are forward facing, and that not only helps them with their binocular vision, but it also helps to funnel sound to the bird's ears, and it amplifies that sound up to 10 times. So they have amazing hearing, and a lot of owl species even have ears located at different heights on their head, and what that does is it allows them to better pinpoint where the sounds are coming from. So when they need to zero in on something, like when they get close to the prey and have to really pinpoint exactly where to go in for that prey, they actually will often switch to the sense of hearing to pinpoint where that is. So owl can remind us to not rely too heavily on one single sense. So we are multisensory beings. Sometimes if we're not seeing the solution, it can help to switch gears and feel or listen or even smell around for guidance. And even just changing your perspective or looking at things from a different angle or listening for a different voice on the matter can help give you the whole perspective on what you need to know to move forward, either with your goals or solving a problem. Okay, so owls, they work on stealth, not speed. And this can be, spiritually speaking, we can look at this in a very positive way or a negative way. And that's the thing about spirit animals, is that they are what they are. Animals are what they are, and they have amazing things to teach us. But we also need to work with them in conjunction with the more spiritual guides, like the angelic realm, which is more all about the light and will help us to bring it, bring us more towards the light and more towards what feels good, right? So the power animals, when they're working in alignment with the the light realm, the angelic realm, just super, super beautiful guides for us, because what they do is they help us to learn how to survive and to thrive in the world. So they're not good or bad. They're not, good or evil. They are what they are, and they can be very, very powerful allies in the light, when we have that intention. So, looking at the owl in terms of its stealth, and this is the ability to go in and just quietly get it done, quietly, accomplish what you need to accomplish, without making, sometimes just doing it without alerting all sorts of things is the more efficient way to go about it. They've got several characteristics that help them fly extremely silently. One is their broad wings, which gives them a lot of lift. It doesn't contribute to speed, so they're not real fast flyers, but they can actually fly without beating their wings a lot. Okay, so one beat of the wing gives them a lot of lift. So this speaks to efficiency, as well as the stealth aspect of it. With owl, you don't have to be beating your wings like constantly. You can be just feel into the intuition and feel into, what's the most efficient way to do things. What is going to give me the most bang for the buck. Okay, so in addition to these broad wings, they also have super soft feathers, and they've got their feathers have little they're kind of furry feathers, and they're kind of fringed at the edges, so it gives them that ragged appearance that owls have, which a lot of people think is really endearing, but it can also kind of be little raggedy. And if you're an owl person, you might be a little rough around the edges, and that's fine. Accept yourself for that, because it's part of the beauty of who you are. All right, so this fringe that they have on their feathers breaks up the wind, and it also contributes to the super silent flight that owls have. So if you're an owl person, you might also be one of these people that maybe you might be an observer type. You might not be speaking up a lot, but when you do speak up, boom, you're right to the point, and people listen. So don't feel like it's easy to feel like, oh, we're not, not speaking up enough. But sometimes just a word or two that's really on point is more powerful than, babbling. So you do have a voice as an owl person. You have a very powerful voice, but it may not be something that you have to be constantly using. Use your power of observation and then funnel that into the voice when necessary. Again, efficiency. Okay, so let's look at, before we get to the shadow side of owl, let's look at the owl's kind of digestive pattern. They eat their prey whole. They eat typically, a barn owl will eat probably around 1,000 mice per year. So they're actually really good to have around in terms of, economically for the farmers and so forth, to keep the mice under check. And they have an interesting digestive system. So the owl's digestive system will actually separate out the inedible parts. They'll swallow their prey whole. Oh, by the way, they'll also often eat insects and some other, small animals as well. But they'll separate out the inedible parts, the bones, the fur, the teeth, the claws, the shell of the insect, whatever it is. And these get compressed into hard pellets, which the owl then coughs up and spits out when it's done digesting. So, beautiful lesson from owl surrounding this is owl teaches us to take what's nourishing from a situation and leave the rest rather than internalizing what's not supporting you. So we all go through things, we all go through trials, we all meet and come up and have to work with people with ideas that maybe don't resonate with us. But the idea here is that wherever we are, whatever experience we have, there's some kind of nourishment in there for us. There's a lesson in everything. That's why we're here. That's why we're here on this planet. So you're not being exposed to things, if there's not some reason for it. So Owl teaches us to really look and discover where's the nourishment, where's the lesson. Take that, digest it, and then whatever doesn't serve you, whatever you feel like, just this does not serve me, cough it up, get rid of it. Just express it, get it out, expel it. Because we want to really take what's good for us and leave the rest. So it can be a good shadow or a totem animal to use when we're looking at just releasing stuff. It can really help us to release. Okay, so that's one very positive, way that owl can come into our lives, helping us to let go. Let's look finally at the shadow side of owl. Like I said, every animal has its shadow side, and the animal itself, it's not good or bad, but when we're looking at our own spiritual development, there's always a shadow, and that's that part of us that doesn't want us to ascend, that really is holding us back. And it's a part of us, so it's not even good or bad either. It's got to function, but the owl can represent that shadow side. So and the great thing about shadow animals, shadow totems, is they really help us to be aware of what's going on in us, because the thing about the shadow side of our own psyches is that it's really good at not being seen, because if we do see it, once we bring light to it, then it reveals it, and it's usually stuff we don't want. And once we are able to really see it, then it's much easier to go in and bring it to light or banish it or whatever we need to do with it. Okay, so when an owl comes up and it's showing you your shadow side, honor that, okay? Because it doesn't mean that the owl is necessarily a bad omen. It means that it can sometimes show up as a warning, okay? But don't denigrate the owl because of that. It's actually working to point things out to you. Okay, so yeah, it might come in as a portent of something that we don't want in our lives, but don't kill the messenger, right? It's just a messenger. All right, so some of the things, aside from maybe bad luck or just being aware that there might be something afoot that could cause tragedy or something, other ways that this might show up, and again, we're talking about deep feminine energy. Shadow feminine can be really, I hate to say it, can be really nasty. And some of the things that happen, when the feminine goes dark is manipulation, sneakiness. Again, with that stealth can sometimes be put to dark use. Illogic or just nonsense, just taking you down dark winding paths into danger, that kind of thing. Depression can be a big one with owl people. Just this feeling of like kind of being sucked in, that's really dark feminine. It just can be very, very sticky and very grasping and very devouring. So feelings of depression, that can be like if you have owl medicine, that might be something that you struggle with. Owl is also associated with death in a lot of cultures. Don't let that scare you. I think it's just because it is this kind of deep, dark, going into the night kind of animal. Death isn't necessarily something to be afraid of. So, if that's something that's coming up for you, any of these actually, if owl's your totem, if you're finding owl coming into your life, just take extra care to hold yourself to the light regularly. Okay? Owl's got these strong talons for gripping, and dark feminine energies can be super, super tenacious. So just bring in the light. Really, really important. And this, make it a practice to work on releasing lower frequency energies. Here's where you can call on the positive aspect of owl, help me to release. Okay? So for owl people, really call on the owl to help you let go of some of these darker, depressing kind of addiction would be another one, just anything that's like sucking at you, right? Call on the owl to help you let go and also bring in light. So you may want to balance your owl medicine with something solar, like vulture, which holds itself to the light. It's very purification, or lion, something like that, which brings in this more light kind of power. Or maybe with a more joyful totem, like hummingbird, anything like that can, or work with the crystals, work with the crystal, like smoky quartz or any of the white light crystals, clear quartz, angelite, some of those lighter crystals, rose quartz especially would be a great one, and some of the solar ones like citrine, yellow jasper. Some of those crystals can help. Anything. There's tons out there that can help you hold yourself to the light. So very, very important if you're an owl person to bring in the light daily. If not more frequently, just anytime you can, just light, light, light. Because owl can be an amazing ally in this as well. But it's a balance. So when owl is in good balance, she can be a super powerful ally. Helps you connect with the deep feminine wisdom within. So beautiful animal. And I hope you've enjoyed this about owl. Of course, there's way more about owl that we could discuss, and we could also go into the different types of owl. But for now, I think this is probably enough. If you've enjoyed this, then please do click subscribe. You can hit that little bell to get notified of new videos as I make them. And also check out my website. It's brightspiritrising.com. I've got a lot more information on spirit animal. There's some channeled stuff in there, some of the angelic stuff, and I've got some power animal resources on there as well. And be sure to also sign up for my newsletter. Got some pretty good bonuses there if that's something you're interested in doing, keeping in touch. So have a wonderful day and wonderful night, and enjoy your owl. Good bonuses there if that's something you're interested in doing, keeping in touch. So have a wonderful day and wonderful night, and enjoy your owl.